What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Monday, June 9th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, I'm going to get into my transfer targets ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Would you believe that this is the second time I've recorded this episode now? First time, awful mic settings, so loosey-goosey math, and now pre-recording take twos are becoming a thing on the channel. But if you're like what you are seeing in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position paddock, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are up to 3,200 subscribers, so thank you to all of the subscribers so far. But if you're watching this video and you have not hit that subscribe button, just give it a little click. I promise I won't let you down. And if you are super into F1 Fantasy, which I assume you are if you're watching this video, don't forget that you can still use my promo code UN50 for 50% off the first month at f1fantasytools.com with all their premium products, all of that fun stuff. If you sign up right now, you'll get the next 3 races over the next month. So I would highly, highly recommend you do that. Maybe around Thursday or Friday. Give yourself as much time as possible before the simulations come out from Ryder and all that fantastic stuff, budget building, all this stuff that you could possibly need to become a successful F1 fantasy manager. But like I said, today is going to be transfer target day. So let's get right into it. Alrighty, I asked and y'all delivered over 1,000 votes for this poll in F1 Fantasy. Who are you most likely to transfer out for Nico Hulkenberg ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix? I gave you Franco Colapinto, Gabriel Bortoleto, Fernando Alonso, and Liam Lawson, and Bortoleto ran away with it, 52.2% of the votes, Colapinto 27.7%, Alonso 11.6%, and Lawson 8.5%. And because this is the biggest / only decision we are kind of making in F1 Fantasy this weekend, barring anything that comes along from the Canadian Grand Prix, Free Practice 1, Free Practice 2, all that fun stuff, I'm going to pretty much dedicate most of the episode to sorting out these 4 candidates and seeing who we should give up to bring in Nico Hulkenberg. So let's start that right now with Franco Colapinto, 4.5 million. He's in 78.8% of the global top 500, 3.7 points per race, 0.81 points per million. And in Canada, he needs 2 points to go up 0.2 million, and he needs 6 points to go up 0.6 million. If he hits either of those thresholds in Austria, if he hits the 2-point mark, he'll need 5 points for a good price rise, 9 points for a great price rise. But if he hits the 6-point mark in Canada, that's 2 points for a good price rise and 7 points for a great price rise. So Colapinto, if he has some okay performances over the next couple of weeks, could be a back-to-back riser. However, and I said this after the Spanish Grand Prix, I think he is the least impressive driver on the grid right now. I feel so bad saying it. He's been here for 3 races, but after what he did at Williams, it's been really lackluster. I'm not like, there's no way that Jack Doohan wouldn't be doing what Colapinto is doing in this Alpine, especially when you see like Pierre Gasly put in this P8 and then Colapinto's just trundling around at the back of the pack. It's hard to not be like, I don't know if this was the right idea here, but Flavio's going to do what Flavio wants to do. So Frank Colapinto, 4.5 million, bottom of the barrel. So he can't fall this week in Canada, which is nice, but 0.56, I don't know. I just don't know if he's getting the most out of that car. Similar in a way to Yuki Tsunoda, like just not understanding the car. It's been like such a short amount of time that he's been in the car. Tsunoda's had a little bit longer, but we all know the problems with that second RB. So Colapinto, it's between him and Bortoleto for me about who I'm going to transfer out for Hulkenberg, but I'm kind of leaning towards Colapinto. Going over to another South American driver here, Gabriel Bortoleto from Brazil, another 4.5 million asset. He's in 55.6% of squads, negative 1.3 points per race, negative 0.21 points per million, 6 points for a good price rise in Canada, 10 points for a great price rise. Those are higher than Colapinto. Colapinto was at 2 and 6. Bortoleto is at 6 and 10, but there's something in my gut that is telling me that Bortoleto has a better chance of getting there than Colapinto. This Kick-Sauber package that they slapped on Bortoleto's car on Saturday seemed to click. He had qualified into Q2 on Saturday, then had a really good race result. He needs 3 points and 7 points if he even gets to that good price rise in Austria. The fact that he can't fall, but I feel like he's been in the car longer. He's had preseason testing. the curve is going upwards for Kick Sauber, especially if you've had their constructor. Hats off to you the last few weeks. They have been rising like nobody's business. But -2 in Imola, 3 points in Monaco, 4 points in Spain. I don't know. I think Colapinto has a higher ceiling, but for some reason, and this can all be blasted away come FP1 and FP2 on Friday, I'm a little bit more fearful to give up Bortoleto. I think he could pop off a surprising result, and then we're all like, oh, we got to flip over to or back to Bortoleto now. And I'm not sure if I want to be like late to that. I don't know. There's something about Bortoleto that I like. I want to see more in FP1 and FP2, but I think right now, if it's neck and neck, it's probably like 55% sell Colapinto over 45% Gabriel Bortoleto. Fernando Alonso here, 43% of teams, another bottom of the barrel asset. We all know the problems he's had, but in the last 3 races, Imola 4, Monaco -16 due to a car failure, but 14 points in Spain. He's not going to rise in Canada more than barring a miracle in Montreal, 15 points for a good price rise, 19 points for a great price rise. The 14 points in Spain, he was yo-yoing up and down the grid like nobody's business. And I don't expect that in Canada. But the fact that he is probably the highest ceiling point scoring wise of the bottom of the barrel assets between Alonso, Bortoleto, and Colapinto, I'd expect Alonso to come out on top in points this weekend in Montreal. But for me, I have 2 free transfers. I think my one move this week is just to get out Bortoleto or Colapinto, bring in Hulkenberg because I have enough budget to do that. And then I'm just going to wait and see with Alonso. As you can see here, like 2 of the last 4 races, a DNF penalty. So it's really tough to kind of trust Alonso or that Aston Martin right now to go more than 2 or 3 races at a time. So if I went all in and I brought in Alonso for Colapinto and then brought in Hulkenberg for Bortoleto, just say, that leaves me really exposed to not having a lot of moves to adjust in Austria, which I do not like. The first option I always have in fantasy games, where it's FPL, F1 Fantasy, any transfer-based game, is I always want to roll the transfer. If I can do that, I feel a lot better about the week. So I think I'm probably going to wait on Fernando Alonso. However, if you are one of the managers that has 3 free transfers this week, you've already rolled and you're coming into Canada, I do like the idea of using a luxury transfer to kind of play both sides of it, of bring in Alonso for Colapinto, bring in Hulkenberg for Bortoleto. You're probably getting on the best 4.5 million asset in the point scoring department, and you're getting in Hulkenberg, who is so likely to rise bar DNF, knock on wood, that I think that's like the ideal setup for me. But yeah, 14 points in Spain showed the type of potential that Alonso has here. I don't think he's going to get to it in Canada, but that is where I'm at. Point scoring wise, I'd probably rank them Alonso. I still think Bortoleto, Colapinto, because I think Colapinto can put it in the wall quite easily. And then for budget building, Alonso would be last, and I guess I'd have to put Colapinto first just because of his lower price threshold. The 4th option I had on that survey, though, was Liam Lawson, 5.4 million, 66.8% of squads have him in the top 500, 2.4 points per race, 0.45 points per million. Ignore the bad labeling here. All the numbers are correct. I double-checked them. -1 for a good price rise, 4 points for a great price rise. He is a fantastic option if you don't already have him. Kind of like if Hulkenberg wasn't just like so like easy to get that 0.6 rise, I think a lot of us would be talking about Liam Lawson as well. That's another luxury transfer. You could also bring in, like, if you have enough budget to bring in Hulkenberg for Bortoleto and Lawson or Hajar for Colapinto, I would easily do that this week. But last 3 races, 3 points in Imola, 7 points in Monaco, 9 points in Spain. He was the lowest voted driver to transfer out for Nico Hulkenberg, but I have seen some people just being like, well, he's the only one I have. I already have so much budget that I'm not even in like the Bortoleto, Colapinto, Fernando Alonso sweepstakes, like you poor people down in the 112.8 million budget bracket. So let me know if that's one of you in the comments below. Let me know if you did vote in that poll. Has your thinking changed over the last few weeks between Alonso, Bortoleto, Colapinto, or Liam Lawson as the guy that you will bring out for Nico Hulkenberg? I wanted to sum up my thoughts here. The big decision, Colapinto, Bortoleto, and Alonso, they cannot fall in price. However, Colapinto, Bortoleto, and Alonso and Lawson are more likely to rise in Canada. So they've all got check marks next to them. Colapinto, Bortoleto, Alonso cannot fall in price. Colapinto, Bortoleto, and Lawson likely to rise in Canada. The audience ranking was Bortoleto out first, then Colapinto, Alonso, then Lawson. But for me, I still think I'm going to put Colapinto first. There's something about him. He was really unimpressive in Spain. I'm hoping that he can prove me wrong and Friday practice show that 2 weeks off to reset the old noggin, get back into being like in an F1 state of mind kind of thing. He went straight into a triple header, so I feel sorry for him in that regard. So I'll need to see something in Friday's practices, but for now, I still think I'm leaning keeping Bortoleto over Colapinto. So 55-45 is where I'm at right now on Monday, June 9th. And the main guy that we're bringing or transferring out all of these drivers are for, Nico Hulkenberg. 15.4% of managers have him in the top 500. I expect that to be well north of 85% come Saturday evening for me. 6.6 million, 6 points per race, 1.03 points per million. That's fourth best on the grid. Points for a price rise in Canada, -12 for a good price rise, -6. So like, even if he qualifies well and Sauber just don't have the race pace, he could still get a great price rise. There's no reason to not have him. If he hits those thresholds, he's also on for a pretty good price rise in Austria as well. So Hulkenberg is a great candidate to hold for the next 2 weeks. Maybe we'll have to get rid of him by Silverstone, just depending on how the results go. But there's no reason to not smash Hulk into your lineups. 9 points in Imola, -2 in Monaco, 32 points in Spain. How he didn't get drive of the day, I know that the voting ends before the race, but like even then, like, oh my, Sauber was in P6 at the same time that Max was doing all of the stuff that Max was doing. And the final transfer target for this week is Lando Norris. And this is more of a break up the team structure. I've seen a lot of teams that are able to go like triple McLaren, triple kick. I don't have the minerals to go there. I really don't like being that exposed to two teams where one DNF could cost you 40 points, but I understand the allure. 31.1 million. He's in 7.2% of teams. So he's like legit a differential in the global top 500. 39.3 points per race, 1.31 points per million. Points per race is first, points per million is second behind his teammate Oscar Piastri. Probably needs a pretty good weekend for a great price rise. So that's maybe where I'm a little bit hesitant to get him in there. But 11 points for a good price rise, we shouldn't have to worry about that too much. And if you look here on the bottom, the last 6 races, like just scoring points out the wazoo, 32, 36, 55, 31, 45, 28. It's really, really positive. Having Lando over Oscar isn't the worst thing in the world if you have a huge budget. One, he's a differential, so he could pop off with a race win, and you're looking at 10 points on the rest of the field. But if you're in the kind of bracket area where I am with the budget, Oscar is still the best pick to have. But I really don't mind kind of shaking up the whole team structure if you are in a position where maybe you have 3 free transfers or you have 2, but you're heading this way and you can have 3 in Silverstone or in Austria or something like that, or you have the wild card in your back pocket, say, and you just want to like take a little bit of a punt in Canada, but you know that you can always reset your squad next or in a couple of weeks in Austria. So those are my transfer targets. And right now I'm going to get into a little bit of a updated team selection for my own T1 squad. So here's the T1 squad. It's not going to be very exciting, guys. I'm still pretty much locked into the same moves that I made last week or was talking about making last week. Bortoleto or Colapinto out for Hulkenberg is pretty easy. I don't think any of us are winning like a Nobel Prize for breaking like some mad discovery in F1 Fantasy this week. I think that's going to be as templatey as it comes. It'll come down to like Colapinto versus Bortoleto, but I'm not too stressed out about it because like at the end of the day, it's going to be like, what, a couple of points here or there. I mean, I guess it could be like Colapinto rises and you lose like 0.2 in budget because then you can go back down to like an Alonso the following week, which is kind of nice to have, but I'm not going to sweat it too much. Hulkenberg is coming in for Bortoleto or Colapinto. But while we're here, let's just take a look at like how that team structure I was talking about with the triple McLaren, triple kick. Some people can have enough money to bring a triple Red Bull, or triple Racing Bulls, which is very nice. But Lando Norris, and then I could still, I think, I think if it was for Isaac Hadjar, I'd have enough money, or Liam Lawson, I'd have enough money to kind of bring in Nico Hulkenberg and keep one of Bortoleto or Colapinto. So this would actually just be like a negative 10 for me to get here. But like I said, I got 112.8 million. So most teams can afford this, or a lot of teams can afford this. Maybe you go with a Verstappen or a Charles Leclerc, but having tripled up on both squads is very nerve-wracking. So I don't love that either. But if we go over the budget tool, we can just identify some teams or some drivers that are likely to rise. Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Lawson, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Ocon as well. Fantasy Formula Hub, Rob, he had the shout out for that on my cool down room episode for the Spanish Grand Prix. I don't think I can get there. That would be a really big luxury transfer if you could get up to 7.5. And we also need to see Haas, who are going with a new livery for this weekend. We'll see how that goes for their 200th Grand Prix, but I don't mind that at all. I don't think Ocon's going to be in my thoughts, but Alonso is on the long-term radar. Maybe if Sainz puts in a good weekend, we'll get to him in Austria as well, depending on if Williams picks it back up. But yeah, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Lawson, Colapinto, that's going to be really, really popular. And Bortoleto. That combination up there is going to be super popular. And I just want to let you guys know, I know that I talk about Pat's F1 calculator a lot, his F1F insights, and the website to that is actually linked in the description below. So I don't have to keep linking it to you guys every episode, because I know it's very popular and I want to give it out because it's a fantastic resource. So I'm just, for the rest of the season, if you ever need it, it's going to be in the description below, along with timestamps, along with descriptions, along with promo codes and league join codes and all that fun stuff. So make sure you check out the description below. But yeah, that's like kind of it. The team selection is not super inspiring this week. It's get Hulkenberg in and kind of go with the rest of it, and we'll see how it goes. I guess I should put up what my team will actually look like here. It'll be Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, and who's the last driver that I'm forgetting? Liam Lawson. He will be in here along with Ferrari instead of Kick Sauber. So Ferrari will come back in, and then Liam Lawson will... Where'd you go, Liam Lawson? There you are. And that'll probably be what I'm looking at come Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, if you are going to be around for some like final thoughts episode and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, not the most inspiring team selection this week, but that means we'll have 3 free transfers for Austria and plenty of flexibility to kind of maneuver our F1 fantasy team around. So that'll do it for this week's episode. Like I said, there'll be a Q&A stream on Wednesday night, so make sure you stick around for that. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, especially if you like what you're seeing in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position Paddock. But yes, 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 p.m. US Eastern. Still trying to figure out like what I'm going to do for deadline, final thoughts. Canada is kind of a weird time for me over here. I'm actually going to be in Scotland for that as well. So I will follow me on X at F1 Fantasy U, and you will know where I am going with all of that. But yes, hopefully transfer targets helped. It wasn't really like transfer. It was more just talking about the one big decision that we have this week in F1 Fantasy, but hopefully it helped y'all. Let me know in the comments below what your final decisions are going to be, what you're thinking about heading into the weekend. But like I said, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast if you're listening on the podcast side as well. I don't really plug that all that often, but once again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.